Greetings, greetings. I'm a little late, I'm a little behind. Actually, I'm okay. 3 minutes. Everything happens in divine timing anyway. 1 second. Hi. Hello. Oh, wait. Here we go. I'm gonna try and get Delena in here quick. Hold on, let me get my Palo lit so we could make sure the energy is clear in here. Don't want no weird vibes. How is everybody doing today? I'm really excited about this. Whew. Really excited. So as you know, a Wife of Creation, we've been hosting these lives. This is the fourth in total, but the second this year. I want you guys to look forward to a lot more of these. Tonight, I'm really excited because we are meeting with Delena Zimmerman, a very, very pivotal, important person in my life that I wanted to share with you guys. We're going to be talking about some things that are really, I think, relevant for the times that we're in right now. One of the topics today is practicing mindfulness and also emotional reactivity. So for me, that is a lot. I myself struggle, or have struggled rather, with reacting emotionally. And so I thought it was important for us to have this live today and speak very openly about real, relatable issues that we all experience and how to react in those situations. Not only that, but mindfulness, what that is, what that means, what that looks like. So, without further ado, how do I do this? Delena. Now, hold on. Add. Oops, sorry, y'all. Do I know how to do this? Sorry. Messed up my lighting and everything. Okay. Here we go. Hi.
Hi, honey.
Hot. It's so hot here. Whoa.
What is it, hot? It's hot?
Yes, it was 80. It was 81 today here in Brooklyn. I am. How are you? How's
I'm good. It's a little warm here, but we don't have the humidity. So, yeah, we actually have the dry heat in LA. So, I'm grateful for that.
Yes, your hair don't sweat out there. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm over the hair sweating anyway.
Yeah,
I cashed in the press and curl. I cashed it in.
you're right. Right. Oh, yeah, I did a introduction already. Obviously, we go a way back. This is not our first rodeo, so I
Mm-hmm.
floor for you. We can begin with like mindfulness, what that is, what that looks like, reactivity. Take it from there.
Okay, sure. So, thank you so much for having me. My name is Delena Zimmerman. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist, and soon I will be sharing with the world. I'm sure those of you will be interested in millennials learning how to self-actualize and reduce your anxiety. So I'm going to be doing a coaching program for that very soon. It'll be a national program, so anyone can join, not just those in California. But today's conversation is about mindfulness and it is about emotional reactivity. And I want to preface this conversation and let you know because I am in the healing field, I am in the service field, it does not mean that I don't also struggle with these things. I also didn't get out of my childhood unscathed. Like I had a childhood as well, and it shaped me as well. And I'm also a Black woman in America. And so I'm impacted by that experience as well. And so I think it's important that I share, just kind of preface that I can speak to it clearly from brain science. I can speak to it clearly from family psychological system thinking, and I can speak to it clearly from my own experience. I've had some progress, and some days are better than others. Some situations you may have more control over than others when it comes to emotional reactivity. But let's talk about some of the we'll eventually get to some of the tools you can use and some of the resources that may be available to you at the end of our conversation. And so, mindfulness, right? Like it's become a catchphrase. It's become, people are saying it in the home. It's a layman's term now.
Right.
But mindfulness is really about growing in self-awareness. It is about understanding that you're not just the reflection back in the mirror, or you're not just the images on Instagram, that you are this creation, this thing in creation. You are this body, this mind, and this spirit. And when I didn't know that growing up, I thought I was just what I looked like. I thought I was how the world saw me, my peers saw me. I didn't know that I had a mind that I could connect to. And so mindfulness is about being able to be in the now, because that's the only thing we have power over, the now,
Now.
except for when we're in emotional reactivity, right? When we're in emotional reactivity, we can't be in the now. We're trapped somewhere else. And how we feel is controlling the now. But mindfulness is about practicing the presence, practicing now, being aware that I'm alive now. And that's what matters. This is where my living is, in the now. And I believe that we were born to live this life, to learn what this life is teaching, and then to practice it day to day. That's the best any one of us could do. Wake up. If I am not in the now, Shia, if I'm not in the now, then where am I? I'm in the past.
You're in the past. You're
Right. In
and
the future,
in the future. You're all over the place.
all over the place. And that means that I'm not living my life. So if I'm in the past, which doesn't exist anymore except for in my memory, or if I'm in the future, which hasn't even occurred yet, which means it doesn't exist, I'm worried about it. That means that who's living my life now? Who's at the steering wheel if I'm in the past or in the future? So living in the now is where my loving is. Living in the now is where my power is. Living in the now is where my courage is. Living in the now is where my solutions are. Right? I can't solve something in 15 minutes. I can solve it now. I can't love you tomorrow. I can love you now. And so that's the ideas that I have about mindfulness. It allows you to be in your heart. It allows you to be intentional. It allows you to be in your purpose. It allows you to live out your dreams, maximize your goals. That's what the now does. That's what the now does. So that's mindfulness. It's being aware that I am currently present. I am in creation. I am one with creation. There's no separation between me and the creator. There's no separation between me and what's going on in Israel, what's going on in Palestine. There's no separation from us except geographically. There's no separation. God made one life, and we're all having it. And so it's really important to just be mindful of our connectivity to each other and our connectivity to our own soul.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to say, even for myself, like I know, even in saying and understanding that mindfulness looks different for every, you know, and what emotionally pulls at people, is different. We're living in a time, everything we're watching is pulling at us. Emotional jobs, our everything are pulling at us. And in my belief, for me, mindfulness is super important because you're not able to really make decisions or move in an integral way when you're in heart space. You end up doing it, you end up saying things that you regret, and even even in reflecting over my life that I've experienced, I can now look at things in a different perspective. I can say honestly, I would have handled that differently,
Mm-hmm.
of what was taking place. So I just wanted to add that in my experience, my own personal experience. It's been for me, especially with me being a sibling to a celebrity, in
Mm-hmm.
my and how I handle things, major part in how I move and operate. But it's been such a lesson, understand rather, that whenever you're moving from, which is where your soul lies, which is your authentic self, you're making the right decision.
Yeah,
That
for
was
sure, for sure. Now you can hear that still small voice inside of you. If our ultimate goal is to know ourselves better or to have some self-awareness, right? Then I can operate from that place. Like you said, and to be in integrity with the soul is to be able to hear it. But I can't hear the still small voice, the GPS system that's built inside of me. I can't hear my intuition if I am in the future or in the past, or if I am in, the memory or in the resentment, or let's talk about like emotional reactivity and why this is so powerful. And I don't know, like, Shea, your voice was going in and out, so I don't know if you have an audio issue. Um,
um,
but so what causes emotional reactivity? And I'm not exactly sure um, what causes it for you, but generally, let's talk about what emotional reactivity is. So, the way that the brain is made, there's a midbrain. Now, this midbrain really develops when we're in puberty. Okay. And so we go from being these kids that, want things, but when you become a teenager, how you feel becomes the most important thing. It's like, if I don't feel it, or if I feel it, it's just like, I feel like I'm going to die if you don't take me out, or I feel like I'm going to die if you say I can't go, or, that relationship is like, oh, the emotions are so potent, right? And we start knowing ourselves from that point of view because puberty lasts until you're 22 years old. Most people don't know that, oh yeah, oh yes, you got 10 years of the brain just being, just dominated with particular hormones that are so powerful in puberty. And so this is important to know. We don't even know how we function. So I start saying stuff like, yeah, I love real hard. I'm saying that, right? But the truth is I'm so under the influence of so many chemicals. At a certain point, my brain, that's the way it functions. And so I think I love so strong. The truth is, I'm just having puberty and I'm under the influence of very powerful chemicals. So let's check this out. So how long is that period? So we're talking a 10-year period. I'm 20 something years old and I only know myself in a certain way. So I think that, if you are disrespectful to me, if I think you've been disrespectful to me, then I treat that behavior like this. I either, some people, put them up, call you, cut you. People like me might be sneaky. I'll get you, but you don't know it was me. Like, it's like, I got to react to that feeling.
mhm,
I got to
mhm.
react to it. It controls me. It owns me. I give meaning to something, and then I have the same behavior every time it happens. I feel it in my stomach or I feel it in my throat, and I don't have a choice as to whether I'm going to react to it emotionally. So, you guys there with me? You there with me? Okay. So this starts happening in our lives, and in puberty, it gets like locked in. We also have we also have experiences with our mothers disappointing us and what that feels like. We have experiences with our fathers disappointing us and what that feels like. Some of us have had physical and emotional and sexual traumas in our life and what that feels like. Some of us have grew up poor and what that feels like. Some of us grew up, you understand, like you talked about how you grew up with this perspective and what that feels like and how it shapes you.
Mm-hmm.
Shapes you in puberty though.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think that's who you are. And so every time somebody does something that you think is disrespectful or that is a threat to you, because your mother used to slap you in the face, or your father used to, you understand, or somebody, your brother used to do this to you, or your sister used to do this to you, and it put that button on you. And then you grow up and your partner speaks in a particular tone of voice. I know that's what gets me, tone of voice. And it doesn't even matter what the person is saying. I can't hear it. I can only feel the tone of voice. And so before you know it, my amygdala, the midbrain, just like it did when I was 14 years old, activates in the same way because nothing about me has changed in this area. It's still the same as it was in my childhood. So at 50, you say something to me in a tone of voice that I don't like or that I can't manage. And guess what? I'm acting just like I acted when I was 15. I'm acting just like I acted when I was 19. I'm cutting up, and I don't even want to cut up.
Okay.
I'm not mindful. I'm not self aware. I can't be because the chemicals in my brain, I am under the influence of that, and I act in the same way, and I say the same stuff. I say, who you think you talking to? It looked like this. And I'm not even me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The old version of me, the version of me that got jailed from that pain in my past, is now in the room, is now driving the car, and is about to destroy the current relationship in which I find myself in, is about to blow up the spot based on an old perspective, an old button that never got healed, an old core wound that never got healed. And I think it's you. Because who you think you're talking to like that? You should know already you shouldn't be talking to me like that. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a that. You shouldn't. Told you about that last time. I checked you on that before. You should already know. And so my self-righteousness won't let me heal. I think that I have the right to show this kind of behavior. I think I have the right to show you my pain. That's in fact what I'm showing you is my pain. I think I'm entitled to emotional reactivity, anger, violence, frustration, tantrums, getting you back, posting subtle stuff on social media.
Mm-hmm. Triggers. For me, especially when you say the chemicals and the things when we're young that we bring into our adulthood, I like to look at it also as programming in a sense. You
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
program what to think, what to believe, how to react in these situations. Oh, you said this to me? Okay, well, girl, this is like that is the cycle. And I think the key to all of this, recognizing those triggers, recognizing those buttons that are pushed and digging deep beyond that to find what needs to be healed. And I think that even for myself, coming out of a very traumatic experience and then going into a new experience, it took time for me to process that the same, because it's not the same. And today, your next relationship after your most traumatic one is the hardest to get through, because that's where you're seeing and you're conscious of the things that you'd experienced. You're seeing things you don't really like within yourself. And sometimes we don't know
Right.
how to handle that. And so this is what this is mostly about, recognizing that. and digging to heal those things. We're not bringing that baggage about life.
Right. Lashaya says, that's why I've been eliminating people so I don't get mad. And I say to Lashaya, you're going to look around and you're going to be by your damn self, because humans are going to do what humans are going to do. But we are responsible for how we feel. Like Shia said, we've been programmed. We've been shaped. Everybody's not doing it wrong. I'm the common denominator in flawed relationships in my life. And I need to look at that. Nobody's doing it wrong. I'm perceiving them wrong, if that makes any sense. The person that changes me and how I'm perceiving people. People are shaped in the way their mama shaped them. People are shaped in the way that their world shaped them. And so who am I to say they shouldn't be that version of themselves? Why am I so triggered by how God created you? Why am I so triggered by your story and the fact that you maybe aren't healed in the areas that you aren't healed? It's all fear-based thinking. And so I say to Lashaya, heal, girl, so that people can do and be whatever the hell they want to do or be. And that you can have peace as well. And then they can go through their process of healing, but that you focus on you, the aspects in you that can change and evolve. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Lashaya, you got to chime back in and tell me, does that make sense to you?
Talk about now.
What triggers? Right. It's not about removing a trigger. It's about, I missed that. Well, you can make room for new people, but the idea of running away from other human beings as if they're your problem is what I want you to consider. Yes, I know some people are toxic and abusive, and yes, you should put space in between abusive people. But some of the abuse is you. Some of it is you believe that you are the one that knows it all, that is it all, that thinks this is the only way that you should think, this is the only way you should behave. You think you know. And so you can't accept people the way they are. I just want you to look at it. If it fits, let it fit. If it don't apply, let it fly. But I just want you to look at you. And that's something my partner says to me all the time. Be willing to observe yourself. Instead of looking at me. Because my family traumas have shaped me.
100%.
Right? So I'm afraid that you're going, not love me. I'm afraid that you're not going to give me what I think I need when I'm responsible for what I need. I'm responsible for my emotional health. So I started looking at other people to make me happy, and they don't have the capacity to make themselves happy. We're only responsible for our own happiness. This is where getting right back to mindfulness and self-awareness. You have to admit your folk probably put some stuff on you that you find it difficult to be in relationships with other people. You just have to look at yourself and get honest. It ain't everybody else. You better believe it ain't. It ain't never everybody else. And in my life, the only person that needs to change is me. Mm-hmm.
I like to go to that point. I look back at my life, at my experience, and at a time in my life, it was why me, this and that. I like to say that healing happens in layers. It's not linear. It's not a straight line. It don't just
Right.
go like, it happens in layers. So I think the fourth or layer was looking at myself, and that was where life really began for me, because it was like,
Mm-hmm.
how did I allow and how did I enable to accept this? How was I able to? And I started looking at myself, and that's where that mindfulness, that's where that self-awareness again comes into play. And that's where the real work, when people are talking about do the work, that's the work. And looking at yourself and not pointing the finger at everybody, looking at yourself.
Yeah, for sure. One of the best things to do, in my experience, is to humanize people. instead of objectifying them. And I just kind of want to explain that is that, you know, I hope you guys can hear me here. Like, so although I'm middle age now, I used to be a young woman growing up in the 80s in Los Angeles, right? And so uh, there's this idea. My mother was a single mother, and because I know that only 30% of African American women are married, I know many people listening might have grown up in a single home in which a Black woman was at the head of it. And so what my mother had me at 18 years old. So she was a young person teaching me young people's ideas unintentionally, right? So she's teaching me how she functioned and operated as a single 25-year-old. I'm paying attention, right, to this at 7 years old. I don't know it's getting stored into my psyche, but it is. And I'm starting to understand how you're supposed to manage yourself as an adult woman. And so she don't know she's teaching me this, but she is. She's teaching me that men are supposed to give you stuff, gifts. They're supposed to treat you like this. If they don't spend their money, then they don't have value. Like I've been given all these ideas about various things, but I'm just going to talk about this topic, okay? And so I'm growing up. And I'm growing up in the what's called the crack epidemic, right? And so a lot of young men became dope dealers. And so they had fancy cars and access to money. Just normal dudes had fancy cars and access to money, right? So us young girls, teenagers were like, that's what you got to get. You got to get that right there because they'll be able to show their love for you, your value, right? By giving you stuff or letting you ride in their fancy car or whatever the case may be. And so when a person does not give you or know the rules that you have, that society has given you, that your family has given you, that other women have given you, that your mama has given you, this becomes your belief system. It becomes your value system. It becomes what you think is right. And then you begin to measure yourself by this particular value system. So let's say nobody liked me. Let's say nobody bought me any dolphin earrings or a bomber jacket with fur on it. Then what did I think of myself? What was my value system? What emotional reactivity did I have? What was my self-esteem level based on this value system? Like this becomes part of my trauma story, you see, because I am not experiencing what I think is supposed to be happening. And so this goes back to our idea about disrespect. If you do this, that's disrespectful. If you say this, that's disrespectful. If your dude likes another girl's picture, that's disrespectful. Like you got all these rules about what's supposed to be happening. And so young women and young men begin to play out these ideas about what they think should be happening in their lives based on their cultural, societal, right, socioeconomic, geographical, racial, right, ideas and laws that govern them, right? So then I grow up and become a 30-year-old. Now I'm 30, I'm grown, but what value system do I have? The one I had when I was 15. Same one. When it comes to men, when it comes to disrespect, when it comes to what friendship should be, when it comes to how I think children should behave, when it comes to all these various things. And when that doesn't happen, I have an emotional reaction to it because I am not in my mindfulness. I am not in my self-awareness. I am not accepting life as it is coming to me. I am saying that it is happening incorrectly. It is wrong. It should not be happening. Where's my money? I'm losing relationships based on a false idea. I'm charging people with stuff that ain't theirs, but that is mine. I'm putting cases on people because they haven't lived up to my expectation. And then I have an emotional reactivity because I think other people are responsible for my happiness, for my well-being, for my peace, for my safety, for my security. Mm-hmm. If you're insecure, it's because your ass is insecure. Your relationship, your person is not responsible to make you feel secure. You have to feel secure in yourself. You have to give that to yourself. You have to be a safe person, and then you'll feel secure. Nobody can give it to you. Nobody can give it to you. You got to hear that.
Nobody. And to your point, I can't even express how many people I've either written me online and they're like, I'm so depressed. And I see this person with that person, and these people are happy and they got money and they got a car, and people are genuinely calling themselves depressed over the falsity that they're seeing on these social platforms. And in my mind, the word depression or the word depressed comes from the Latin word deprimere, which means to
Mm-hmm.
press down. Your spirit is down. Your authentic self is pressed down. You are not listening to your spirit. You are not moving and operating from your heart space, from where your spirit and soul lies. And so we have to make this connection with the fact that a lot of the things we are growing up and expecting in life as adults are things that we've been programmed to think are what life should look like as children by our immediate, our family, our mothers, our fathers, and they themselves don't have the answers. They are just people who are living through their experience and doing the best of their ability from what they had. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do want to just put a pin there about people looking to Instagram and looking to social media and seeing all of the flashy this, flashy, allowing that to rush them and feel a way they should be living up to this expectation when that's entirely wrong.
Right, right, right. Oh, I love that. Rise of the Phoenix. Rich with a broke heart. I got it. I got it. Um, so, um, I mean, you said it, you know, our parents are just humans with their own low self-esteem, their own shape that their family gave them. We aren't their whole stories. We're just a portion of their stories. They got pregnant and had a baby. That don't make us the center of their lives or shift anything in their consciousness and their awareness, right? We didn't become their peace and their only reason for showing up. If they were abused, they're gonna bring you some abuse. You understand? If their parents were not emotionally available to them, they can't be emotionally available to you. If they know abandonment in them, they will abandon. If they know neglect in them because somebody neglected them, they will neglect. And that doesn't mean that they don't love. We're not talking about love. We're not negating love. But this is how these particular buttons get put on us, which we call triggers. Just think of it like how like little buttons that sit on your belly, like they were shaped through your experience with your parents, but you have to understand your parents came through your grandparents and that they were born into this America and they were born into what they think about themselves. And if you had a black father, he was born into what it is to be a black man, black boy in America with a low self-image. And if you were born with a black mama, she was born into having a frozen psychological independence where she didn't necessarily trust or need black men or believe that they would be present for her as her piece. Like, you have to understand that there's so much that we're carrying by just being Americans. And it doesn't matter what your nationality is, but just by being Americans and being told that the pursuit of happiness is outside of yourself. And whatever lack of faith people have based on a God that you don't necessarily know whether this God is far, far away in heaven taking notes on your ass, or whether that God lives within you and loves you and protects you and guides you and governs you. Like, if you don't know who your God is, or if you're separate from your God, you cannot produce what you need to produce in life. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care if you have children or not. I don't care if you get married. It doesn't matter. If without a healthy oneness with the Creator, you're going to come or fall victim to this world's ideology. You're not going to have faith. You can't. You can't believe that you're going to be okay. So you're going to have anxiety. You can't trust that all the things that have happened up to this point have happened for you and not to you. So you'll experience depression. I mean, I don't know. The God piece is really powerful for me. And I'm not going to tell you what to call God, how to pray to your God, or what your ritual should be, whether you should pay tithes or not. I'm just going to say, like, having a relationship with the Creator daily
Daily.
helps you, right, with your emotional regulation.
Hmm. This is why meditation, I'm just going out there and say it.
Please.
It done taught me how to meditate, y'all. So,
Yes.
like, this is why
Yes.
it's important. This is why connecting with your inner self, your trinary, everything is in threes, mind, body, soul. Your lower self, your transitory self, your exalted self. We are one. You know what I'm saying? We are multi-dimensional beings, and we're not that. We've been programmed to think that there's one way. There's one way, but there's so much complexity within us, in our expression and how we learn, how we adapt, and that with the Creator, the one thing that's around you that's going to give you that sense of purpose and you be able to lean on your intuition and move throughout without needing external validation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Somebody asked, I didn't catch the name, does God know the questions? And so the answer that I have to that is that, first of all, God's not a dude sitting on a throne with human characteristics. I always want to say that first. And that if God is omniscient, meaning knowing all things, then the answer to your question is yes. We are the ones begging the question, what are we? What is this life about? What did I incarnate about? What was the reason why I was born? And so we get pissed off because we think we know why people should be what people should be going through. We get pissed off because we think we know by now you should know how to do this or do that, or you shouldn't be doing a thing. And I'm saying to you is that we don't know why any one of us came to the planet to do what and what experiences we need to have in order to become or do the thing that we came to the planet to do. So who am I to judge your experience right now, where you are in your life, how shitty you are right now? Maybe that's the experience you need to be having in your life in order to evolve to the next phase of your development. Who am I to say? It's egoic of me to say and have emotion and want to cuss you out because of where you are in your life. And so I just want to say that out loud. We don't know. That's why it's important for us to start having compassion for each other. Hell, have compassion for ourselves where we're still evolving and not give up on ourselves, right? This is part of self-awareness, is recognizing, you know, I'm still evolving in this particular area, or I still have fear in this area of finances. I still have fear in the area of my body image. I still have fear in the area of the shape of my nose. Like, it's really important to connect where your fears are so that you don't project them onto other people and objectify them. You know, earlier when I was talking about like dudes, it's like guys were supposed to, I objectify them in the sense that they're supposed to give me something, provide something for me that I could only provide for myself. So if I need you to give me my validation, right? If I need you to validate me, then I'm looking in the wrong damn place. The only thing that validates me is the fact that the Creator created me. I come to this planet validated already. But this world would have me seek validation outside of myself. And that's the biggest lie there is. And I think it is where most of our fear-based um, um, uh, emotional reactivity occurs, is that I'm not getting what I need, or I won't have what I need in the future. And the truth is, I always have what I need. I lack nothing. And that is an affirmation that I'd love for you all to begin to say to yourself every day, as I have everything that I need. I lack nothing, because the only thing I've ever needed was oxygen, oxygen, right? And I always have it. God is always sustaining me with oxygen. I can't negotiate with it. I can't take it from nobody. I can't give it to nobody. Whether I'm awake, asleep, drunk, or sober, I have oxygen, right? Whether I'm in depression or anxiety, I have oxygen. And so I just want you to just really start to understand that you are more divine than you recognize, that you belong to the Creator, right? And that you are in creation. And it is time for you to see that aspect of yourselves and stop playing small and petty. Oh, I can be so petty. Playing small and petty, thinking that I can rest satisfaction if the people in my life would only behave well, if they would only do exactly what I need them to do all the time, if they would only speak to me in the right tone of voice, right? If they would only just love me and never leave me. And so if you feel that you have abandonment issues, you are going to project abandonment onto other people. You're going to think that whatever moves they make is going to be about them abandoning you, except it isn't. It is about them moving in their life. If you've been neglected in your life, you're going to project onto other people neglect. You're going to feel that they are neglecting you by not texting you back, and that is not the case. They have not gotten back to texting you. Like, I want you to understand that this emotional reactivity thing is based on a false perception, a fear-based ideology, a lack of being in the presence, trapped in the past, or concerned about your future. And if you can begin to practice deep breathing, oh my God, this is the one I need to work on. It's to practice pausing or walking away, right? Breathing, get my breathing together before I start running my mouth. I can't talk to you from a logical place if I'm hijacked, if my brain is under the influence of those chemicals. I'm gonna be quiet. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, that's for me, number one. I got my mouth. Wait a minute, I can't answer that. I can't say anything right now. Don't even talk. I have time to process this, because I know my mouth. And I know I'm double fired. I'm popping off at the mouth immediately, and it's straight. But I've come to learn that anger, aggression, all of these things that we think strength are in fact not strength. Strength lies in your ability to not be pulled emotionally, not be pulled out of your heart. Why it's important to know what mindfulness is, to practice that, so aware it's triggering you, what to apply. That's another layer of the actual work. So that affirmation is I'm going to be doing myself, every applying, because it only helps protect layers when you go out in the world and you're engaging with everything that's going on. You can be pulled out your door, but if you're mindful of those triggers, you know how to handle it.
Gutter Goddess said, let's normalize letting triggers go. And so I just want to speak to you from opinion. I'm not exactly sure, okay? But I want to speak to you from opinion and from my personal experience. I've done a lot of work to heal, right? But I'm not healed, but I've done a lot of work to heal in different areas. And so I have so much progress in some areas. But I'm interested to understand whether triggers can not be triggered. I guess that's the point I'm making. Like, some things I think are going to be tapped. What I think we need to normalize is that you don't have to react to triggers the same way you've always reacted to triggers. That you can begin to respond to a feeling that you feel that's old, it's ancient. You've been feeling that feeling since you were 5 years old. You know what I mean? So I also want to say that some things in my life through EMDR therapy, look that up, EMDR therapy, is that it's a modality which helps you desensitize memories. And I've done that. And so I've had a lot of like results from that, where that one memory that was so painful for me, although I can remember it, it doesn't have the same sting. I don't feel it in my stomach anymore, if that makes any sense, right? So the connectivity, the narrative to the story has been neutralized in a sense. It's still a painful story, but I don't feel it in my body. So the thing about trauma is that the body keeps the score. Okay. The body keeps the score. So if I have the thought, I have the related feeling. The related chemicals are released in the body. So if I have the thought, I have the related chemicals that are released in the body. So the healing occurs in that aspect, is that we have to either reframe the story so that chemical doesn't release in my body, right? We have to look at how I now perceive what happened when I was 10 years old. So when I was 10 years old, it was terrifying. But now that I'm 50 years old, is it still terrifying? You understand? If I look at the same story again, right? Same thing happened. I don't have to be in denial about it. But if I look at it from my adult self, and this is where the inner child work comes from, right? Where it's like my 10-year-old self was devastated, but my 50-year-old self can be there for my 10-year-old self. And so I think that's what the normalization is actually doing the modalities, doing the adaptive skill sets that we learn in therapy, that we learn in life coaching, that will help us begin to minimize the reactivity. I hope that made sense.
100%. 100%. I know for me, this is my last thing because I want to get to a few questions before we. For me, I as well looked into different forms of meditation, different forms of that connection between my lower self or my inner child and and merging the three and going back and past things that I hadn't even realized that had programmed. It could be something that's just telling you, no, you're not going to be a doctor. You're not going to, or you should be this instead. It's something so small and simple that really changes your carry that with you throughout life. And every time that something happens, you address it that way. And
Right.
so I do that. Any form of meditation. What is it? EDMR.
EMDR. EMDR.
EMDR. I know myself. I did trinary regression sessions, which was amazing. But I'm gonna get to some questions and see what's going on here. Okay. How do you recommend I process those who caused my traumas?
How do we recommend what?
How do you recommend I process dismissal from those who have caused people acting like they caused your traumas?
The work is inside of you. The work is inside of you. A lot of our traumas are with people who are in our family system. Who do you think molest? Who do you think beat you? You know what I mean? Who do you think was drunk and left you? You know what I mean? Whatever the case is, it's like you're going to potentially be in contact with those that have caused you the greatest harm because they were closest to you and they were sick themselves. So the work has to be done in you. If it's too toxic to be around people, then, put space between you. But you want to be able to be a free man or a free woman that can go anywhere any free man or free woman can go. That's what I want for you. I don't want you to create prisons in your life. So I encourage you to go to therapy, do some real therapy. Because the question I have for anyone who's like, I can't afford therapy. Hell, you can afford 29 ounces of hair. I can't afford therapy. You sure as hell be in the Gucci store. I know you do. I can't afford therapy. You smoke so much damn weed. So what I'm saying to you is this, and I mean, I'm going to be the black therapist right now. Here's a question I have for you. Is that, what does it cost you to not go to therapy? Like, what you going to pay? Like, what's going to be the price tag for you not healing? Who you going to have sex with? What you going to have to buy to try to prove to other people you ain't poor? Right? How are you going to compromise your integrity? Like, what's that going to cost you? So I encourage you to spend $1 up front and get you some real therapy with a culturally competent therapist who can do some trauma therapy with you. So you can get free, man, free from the boogeyman of the past.
I want to just add to that. Working with you has wonders in my life. You know, I recommend you to everybody that I speak to. Anybody that's looking for therapy, Delena is the go-to. Any drop your Instagram, your website, just so people can get in contact. It's important, you know, and I think in our community, it's not spoken about enough. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
stigmatize mental health and Black community. Like, oh, I don't need that. And you're right. Gucci bags and this and that is the priority. We're again putting value in things, you know. So,
Yes, yes. So I'm going to have to jump off soon, but I want to say this. I want to leave some resources, okay? Um, men um, and women, but particularly men that are struggling with emotional reactivity, that are struggling with identity about like, what is it to be a man? If you didn't have a man in your home, you're going to struggle. If your mama raised you, you're going to struggle. So I just want to let you know about a resource that for a coach, Kashawn Curry at Balance Life Coaching on Instagram, at Balance Life Coaching. He can do national programs for you. He can work with you nationally. I highly recommend. He will teach you how to be a man in relationships. He will teach you how to have a compelling vision. And he will also teach you how to have guiding principles in your life so that you won't be a trick to this world, to this America that would have you, you know, live outside of integrity to try to look a particular way as opposed to being a particular way. So that's one thing. Another resource, people who are aged 12 to 22. So if it's not you, think about the people in your family. Taraji P. Henson has a foundation because she is changing the game in mental health in the African American community. They are offering Boris L. Henson Foundation is the name of the website, borislhenson.org or at BLH Henson on Instagram. Today is the kickoff campaign. They're offering 5 free therapy sessions for anyone aged 12 to 22. All you got to do is go to the website, borislhenson.foundation.org, sign up.